have found the Genesis frequency. This is Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina welcoming you in to another episode of a show that focuses on your whole life prosperity and success. Whole life prosperity and success by cooperating with the universal laws that are available to each and every one of us. This is Quantum Leap Goal Achievement, radical personal transformation, whole life prosperity and success. Now, stay tuned for another exciting episode that'll move the needle in your life from where you are now to where you want to be. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it may be, wherever you are in the world. When you hit that play button, well, I'm so glad you did. And I hope that you'll be glad you did, whether you're here for the first time or you've been here hundreds of times. Welcome in. This is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kazmina coming at you with another episode of the Genesis frequency, all about personal, professional, and leadership development. We can throw in spiritual development too as we move more and more into all of that and how they all tie together. They really do. Personal development and professional development. When we work with people in the corporate environment doing leadership development, we always have individual participants select a personal goal or ambition that they're working on and teach them how to tie it into their professional goal as well, because they have to have something in it. It's a really unique process. So I encourage you to reach out and have a conversation with me about personal productivity, personal leadership. And I do leadership development training for individuals, small businesses, corporations, ministries, organizations all over the world. So I'd love to have a conversation. Reach out, successappointment.com, all one word. That gets you to my calendar. It's not a sales page. It's just a calendar to book an appointment. And hey, we'll have a conversation about where you want to go in this coming year. And that's what we've been talking about. This coming year, we're getting closer and closer. Did you notice that? Oh my goodness. And so, as we wrap up the year we're in, as you're listening to this, I like to do the last couple of shows because I generally take a little bit of a break around the holidays and moving into the next year to kind of plan and see what that looks like. But last week in the episode that I shared, we talked again about, hey, what is it going to be? Making that list of everything that you would love to experience in your life. Did you do that? We talked about starting your day every day with gratitude and thanksgiving. All successful people do this. And they don't just do it as a practice that is maybe 5 minutes in the morning or at the end of their day. They're doing it throughout their day. They're being what Thanksgiving and gratitude and appreciation is. So remember that element. When I talk about doing things in a certain way, that's one of those things that is so easily overlooked. There's so many people, and it's astonishing. I invite people to have conversations with me, and I have those conversations with people all over the world. I'm in a dozen or 2 dozen countries right now, and it astonishes me that I've talked about this over and over and over again, and their listeners, and they say, well, I like to get right to the meat of it, right to the attraction part of it, right to the cause and the effect. But you're missing the whole concept of the certain way if you would leave out gratitude. Gratitude is a very key element in making manifest your goals and your desires and your dreams and really the entire life you would love to live. So let's look at that whole life. What does it look like with the list that you made? If you recall, I encourage you to make a list of everything that you want to experience in your life, then step away from it, knowing that your subconscious mind is continuing to work on that list, then going back to it 24 hours later, looking it over, adding to the list, maybe scratching something out. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, we all do that. It's okay. Just make the list, let it grow. This will become a master list that you'll go back to throughout your life. You'll add and subtract. And I encourage you to do that, to keep it that way with that thought in mind that it's a master list. Because as you become listening to this show and hopefully working with me, as you become this goal achievement machine, you'll quickly learn to live in a certain way that just, man, this is rapid fire. This is quantum leaping your progress, right? This is jumping ahead. And before you know it, that goal you thought was going to take, all year or 12 months to achieve, man, you're knocking these big dreams, C-type goal I talked about last week. You're knocking these things out in a few months. Sure, there's other ones that are major projects that'll take longer because just the nature of them, maybe they have a lot of moving pieces and we need cooperation from other people and other elements. But really, if you include all the elements of the certain way that I talk about, you will become a goal achieving machine personally and professionally. And that is part of the certain way, the element of becoming an effective and efficient leader. So let's talk about the different areas a little bit because what I encourage you to do is to step back and then go over your list and notice what really causes a shift in your energy when you read it. So hopefully you found those couple things that you look over that list, you get to that item on your list and you're drawn to it. It's like, oh, it's a, I want that so bad. I've wanted it all my life. That would satisfy all the longing. It would satisfy all the discontent that I feel. I've wanted to be that, to do that, to have that my entire life. And I just read it right now. The hair on my arms is standing up. I don't know how, but it would excite me and it scare me at the same time, making that journey to get that goal done. Oh, yeah, I'm going to finally go after it. So when you read over your list, when you're those kind of feelings, that kind of energy is coming up, you know that that's the C type big dream goal. And if you want to identify what I'm talking about, if you're your first time here, A, B, and C type goals is something that I work with when I work with individuals and companies and corporations. So go back and listen to the last episode to get more clarity on that. But the C goal is the big dream goal. You have no idea how it's possible for you. And we've selected that that's the one that you're going to go after. So how's that list doing? So keep working with that. Let that list be your master list of goals because you don't want to get on off track. You're going to work on one professional, one personal at a time at most, because there's a lot of elements of a certain way you got to get to work on. You don't want to spread yourself thin. If you want this one big dream goal and you got a dozen others that you're working on, well, you know what? Then the time you're working on those other ones, you're not putting any energy and effort and time into your major one. So you only have so much bandwidth, to allot to this certain way of being. And I say being because that's what it's all about. You're becoming what it is. That energy you feel when you read through your list, that excitement that you feel, that want, that desire, you're becoming that. You have to be that. You have to be that thing that you want. People get this wrong. This is an element of the certain way as well. Be, do, have. People want to move right into having. They don't want to do anything. They think manifestation or demonstration or realization is just about closing your eyes and then going to the front door, opening it, and the thing that you imagined is sitting there on the porch. It doesn't work that way. You have to become it. You have to be it. You have to put all these elements of the certain way together in the right way, in order. Remember, order is heaven's first law. Everything has to be done in order. So you're looking over your list, you've identified what it is. One thing I want you to do before we go further is to make sure that you covered every area of your life. And if you reach out to me, even just send me an email, Stephen, Stephen, Stephen with a PH at successocean.com, or go to the genesisfrequency.com, the website for the show, and fill out one of the couple of different forms I have there. Either way, just send me a note and I'll get you this this little exercise you can do. It's the Wheel of Life. It's just a little copyrighted from I'm a franchisee of Leadership Management International, and we use this with individuals and companies, and I'll get you one to work with. And this Wheel of Life has spokes. It's got 6 spokes on it, and the spokes stand for financial and career, mental and educational, physical and health, social and cultural, spiritual and ethical, family and home. So what the Wheel of Life, what we do with individuals and companies, or I should say individuals within companies that we're working with that are participants in our programs, or in ministries or other organizations, or just even a small business owner or somebody that comes to us and wants to work on them. We use this because we want you to look at all these areas of your life and give it a number. Evaluate it, not criticizing yourself, but just evaluating where you are. Is this fulfilling? Is there any longing and discontent in any of these areas? So the reason it's called the Wheel of Life, like if we went around this and these spokes of the wheel and everything was 100, and then we connected the dots around the wheel, we would have a perfectly round wheel. But if we had, say, 2 areas that we gave ourselves a 50, well, let's say they're right next to each other. One of the spokes, everything else is 100, and 2 of the spokes are at 50. Well, we got a flat tire. Okay, we got a flat life. So this is a real important exercise to do to make sure, number one, that you're covering all the areas of your life when you're making your list, and two, you're identifying, hey, what's really important to me. And all these areas are important. Don't get me wrong. But as you're considering your personal and your professional goals, you might want to evaluate, use this tool to evaluate. Yeah, I really, really want this, but I'm noticing now that I'm doing this self-evaluation that I am a little flat in this area. And being flat in this area, maybe it's family and home, maybe being flat in this area is causing other problems that have an impact and influence what I am accomplishing professionally, for instance. So they're all tied together. So this is a great tool to use. Reach out to me, say you want the Wheel of Life, and I'll get it to you, and you can work with it. And we can even have a conversation. I can show you how to work with it. Again, there's no charge for this. Just reach out. So one other thing I really insist that you do at the beginning when you get started with this, and remember, we're setting you up to really go through the roof in the year ahead. Okay, and that's what this is all about. I like to do these in December so you can hit the ground running, doing the prep work right now. So the other thing that's essential is that you examine your beliefs. Now, remember, you don't have to know how. You just have to believe. You have to be willing and able. So you have to have the right belief in yourself that this is possible for you. And it is. Because here's something that a lot of people coming to personal and professional development for the first time and really studying this like I have for decades and decades and decades, here's what they don't realize. You couldn't even have the desire. You couldn't have the desire for the thing you want if it wasn't possible for you to achieve it, to accomplish it, to make it come to pass in your field of experience. I say that for the first time to some people, and they're just scratching their head. What? Yeah, you couldn't even have the desire unless it was possible for you to achieve it. Now, you just have to be willing and able. You don't have to know how. But I want to say you do have to believe that it's possible for you. And since you have the desire, and you do have the ability to build it out visually using the power of your imagination. Yeah, it is possible. So desire in itself is the thing you want, beginning to move into your field of experience by simply having the desire. Now it's up to you to do something with that desire, but this is truth. So as you examine your beliefs about you, you have to get to what's true for you. So you got to be really honest with yourself. If you are the type of person that says, well, yeah, I believe it's possible, but for other people, not for me. Step back for a minute. Let's just use that as an example right here. Is that really true? Because I know a lot of people that do this. Yeah, somebody else could do it, but I sure can't. I don't know how. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have the skills. You is all that true? Maybe you don't have the skills, but can you acquire the skills? Are you willing and able to acquire the skills that will mean the accomplishment of your desire? And this is for every area of your life. You have to have a belief that's based on truth. And what is truth? Truth is your potential is infinite. You are an unlimited spiritual being having a human experience. All things are possible for you. Sure, maybe you have some physical, mental, or emotional challenges that will need to be overcome along the way, but it is possible to do that. Your potential is unlimited. So as you examine your beliefs, because beliefs are going to come into play, this is all part of the certain way, beliefs are going to come into play as you move into the process of accomplishing your personal and professional goals. So you got to get this out of the way right in the beginning. What do I believe about me? What do I believe about my ability? Where have I stumbled before? Have I stumbled over something that is not really true for my life? This programming and these beliefs were installed in us as programming at a very young age. Heck, even some of them came through in our DNA and printed on our DNA genetically. Some of the beliefs and patterns and programming and the behaviors and those kind of things. So we have to really examine this. And that's why I start doing this work with you, my listeners, early before the beginning of the year. You can do this anytime. If you're listening to this, say, don't say, oh man, I just found this show and I'm listening to this episode and it's the middle of July. No, it doesn't matter because you're going to make the decision. You're going to start right here, right now. But looking at the calendar where I am recording this right now, it's into December and we have a year ahead. And that's where a lot of people like to make a fresh new beginning. So that's why we're doing this. So we want to examine the beliefs and we want to work to eliminate those that are not true. They're not true for us. Those beliefs that are not true about what's possible for us. Those beliefs that are not true about our potential. And we want to move in new ones. And as those beliefs are not getting any more energy and attention from us, see, we reinforce them every time we think of them. Every time we affirm, I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm not good enough to do that. I'd like to, but I'm not, I don't look the part. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not pretty enough. I can't, I'm too heavy. I'm too thin. Whatever it is, every time you're affirming that, you're bringing more of that experience into your life and you're asking it to stick around. But when we persist, if we persist in seeing the truth, what's true for our lives, our potential is infinite. We have this connection point, this connecting point with infinite intelligence, with all that is, with the divine I am, whatever you want to call it, the higher self. When we persist in seeing the true rather than the false, then that which is true will appear in our lives. Now think about that. You're going down your list. You're eliminating these beliefs that aren't true. And you're starting to believe in your vision and your dream, and that's possible. Remember, you don't have to know how. You just have to show up being willing and able. Okay, everything else will show up for you. We have an unfailing and all-providing source of all good, of everything you need. Borrow my belief in you if you need to do that. You can do that. You can borrow somebody else's belief in you. But we really need to stay close together and work together to do this. Examine those beliefs. Go through it and say, you know what, you're right. This has always stopped me before. Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So to get started, it really comes down to your belief in your potential, or your belief that you are limited, that you are lacking something. And that is not true. The more you give your energy and attention to what is not true for you, the more that's going to remain your reality. And since we live in a cause and effect universe, you keep your energy there, that is what's going to show up. And time and time again, when I have these conversations with people, we get to this point and we find the stumbling block. People get so far and they go no further. Some kind of fear, some kind of belief comes up and it stops them dead in their tracks because they got right up to that point and they just don't believe they can go any further. And since it's not rooted and grounded in truth, it's rooted in something that's false, and we live in a cause and effects universe, that false thought, that false belief is externalizing in their affairs, in their conditions, in their circumstances and in events. So when you decide from your list what it is, you want to start building it out. You want to move into that. Say, okay, I'm willing and able, and I believe this is possible for me to accomplish in my life. In fact, I am going to move from I believe it's possible to knowing that it's possible. In fact, I'm going to move beyond knowing that it's possible to affirming that it is so. And that's what we're going to talk about in our next episode. Taking that item off your list, that personal item, that professional item, and building your affirmation, building your vision, using the power of your imagination, and then taking it to the next level in a certain way and moving into it. This is how you get going. This is how you can become that goal achievement machine. I'd love to talk to you more about all of that. Remember, successappointment.com gets you my calendar. Stephen, D-E-P-H-E-N, at successocean.com is my email address. Or you can go to successocean.com. You can go to the genesisfrequency.com. There's forms and inquiries and little tools that you can use to reach out to me. You can put a comment section underneath this podcast. Either way, do something. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation to get you, to get your company, to get your small business, to get your ministry, to get your organization moving forward. And I also specialize in those intangible goals as well. Hey, faith, strength, wisdom, love, imagination, understanding, order, this belief thing, this elimination and affirming, all this stuff. Let's talk about it all. Love, love, love doing this work, doing more and more of it with corporations, impacting and affecting culture, and bringing leadership, bringing development to leadership, not just training, development. And there's a big difference. Set an appointment and I'll tell you what the difference is. For now, that's going to do it for today. You've been listening to the Genesis Frequency Podcast, all about personal, professional, and leadership development for individuals, small businesses, and corporations. And this is Dr. Cause and Effect, Dr. Stephen J. Kosmina, wishing you an infinitely spectacular day. See you next week. Bless you.